Hi everyone, I am Murali. It doesn't matter how good your internal payment systems are. It would be equally crucial to have a good connectivity in the interbank space as well, because that defines the smooth message traffic between your and other banks. The FedNow provided a guidelines to its participants about different FedNow service profiles based on the role they opted for. Let's see how these profiles are helping these participants for a better connection with the FedNow service. Let's get into the video.
Participant profile is basically defined by the participant type that you chosen. Meaning, we all know that FedNow is offering three different services like customer credit transfer, send and receive, or customer credit transfer, receive only, or liquidity management. Or for correspondence, there will be correspondent services. So whatever the type you banks chosen, right? So the profile will be created according to that. So that's what it says. The participant type defines the type of services the participant will use within the FedNow service. Let's say that your bank has 10 branches and each branch will have an RTN. RTN is nothing but a routing transit number or ABA code. So both of them are same. So you you are considering that your bank wants to do provide the same service for all the branches. So all these each RTNs for 10 branches you will be having 10 RTNs. All these 10 RTNs should have this individual participant profile. So this participant profile will be changed in if you decide to, let's say that out of these 10 branches I would want to choose only 8 RTNs for customer credit transfer, send and receive, and 2 for liquidity management. In that case, the group of 8 RTNs will have its own profile related to that customer credit transfer, send and receive, and the remaining 2 RTNs will have participant profiles that related to the liquidity management transfer. So, however, or altogether, at any given point, if you decide that you would want to connect with all the RTNs to FedNow either directly or indirectly, so you will need 10 participant profiles because you are going to enroll all your 10 branches to the FedNow network. So that's what the second point explains. The participant profile is required for each RTN to send or receive payments to the FedNow service. Financial institutions can have multiple profiles. Like I said, you may have different branches and you may have different participant types you opted for. So all these RTNs will have their own participant profile and their participant profile will explain what kind of services you chosen. So all the available options for that particular participant type provided in the participant profile. So let's say you are chosen to be a correspondent. Let's and you're just providing a settlement service to one of your respondent, meaning that a small bank or any other bank that approaches you and ask for your help to connect with the FedNow network because of some constraints that they have, could be financially or technically, whatever it is. They just wanted to be they just wanted your bank to be their correspondent. So in that case, you don't need a participant profile. But after a later in point of time, you may decide that okay, for this audience also I'll provide some customer receive only or customer credit transfer, send and receive, or liquidity management. You decide to have some of the FedNow services. In that case, you would definitely need a participant profile. So that's what the fourth point is. Correspondents are required to have a FedNow participant profile if the correspondent wants the ability to send and receive messages. Because when you're performing only settlement operations, you're not sending or receiving any messages from FedNow network. It basically all the messages that's get initiated from the your respondent, and also whatever the messages that is routed to you ultimately destined for your respondent. So for your RTN, no transactions are done. So that's why you don't need a profile. But when you decide at that moment, when you decide that you wanted to send and receive a messages for your RTN, that particular time you would need a profile. The last point is configured by a Federal Reserve Banks. So whenever you opted for any services offered by FedNow, Federal Reserve Bank will configure some of the applicable items related to your profile, right? So that profiles will be given based on your information given based on your based on your information provided during the onboarding process, or as and when there is a request you approach the Federal Reserve support center and you ask for them to configure it. But ultimately they are the ones who will configure it initially, and it is advised that every participant should review it and confirm that it is correct. How can you do that? So it is viewable in the FedNow interface. So FedNow interface is basically an application or a UI applications that's provided for all the participants, so they can log into that application and they can see their participant profile over there. So consider it, it's like your Facebook or Instagram account. You will have one profile and what all the options or what all the settings that you were enabled for that particular account, that will be listed over there, right? Likewise, FedNow also offers one interface, user interface, where you can see the profile of your banks based on your RTNs. Now, in the next slide, let us see what are all the configure components given for each participant's types. We saw that earlier, right? The participant profiles are based on the participant types you chose. So based on that, what are all the options that FedNow offers for the particular participation type? And let's see who is going to configure it, or it can be viewable, editable, and everything. All those things we will see in this slide. Let's take first customer credit transfer sent and receive, which mean so the part this means as a bank you are eligible to send backseat messages and also receive the backseat messages. So ultimately, even so eventually you will do that for PAX 4 and PAX 4 send and receive PAX 4 also. Okay, so when you choose for this participant type, you are you in your participant profile there will be different configurable components. These are receive request for payment, which means the pain 13 message. The pain 13 message is used for request for payment. For example, a customer can request his friend to pay him, right? Or a small businesses can request their customers to pay the services they opted. So all those things are basically you will send a request and they accept it and you will get a payment back. So that is the receive request for payment, and this is always view only because this is based on the services. This is one of the service that FedNow offers and you cannot edit it. So you just have to go back to the Federal Reserve Bank or the support center to modify it. So it's always configured by the Federal Reserve Bank. And the next one is the maximum transaction value limit for LMT. So this is the liquidity management limit, meaning at some point FedNow defines that a participant can fund their settlement account with certain amount of money. You cannot exceed that limit. You can very well have less than that limit, but you cannot exceed that limit. So that's why that limit is given here. So whatever the limit is set here, whenever you do this transaction and that amount is exceeding this limit, then it will be rejected automatically. So if it is well within the limit that's set here, then it will be processed. So it can be viewed and editable to you. So initially it will be configured by the service providers. The later the participants can also do it, but eventually that it has to be communicated to the FedNow service also. Likewise, there is another limit, the maximum transaction value limit for customer credit transfer also. Meaning, for every single customer credit transfer, which means every single pack set that originates from your bank and that's going out, it has a limit. For example, let's say that FedNow has a limit of $100,000 per transaction maximum. Then you can have it as an $100,000 at the as defined by FedNow, or you can have it at $50,000, $60,000, then whatever you choose for your bank. So whenever a customer initiates a message that exceeds that particular limit that's set by you, maybe let's say you set for $50,000 and the customer tries to initiate for $55,000, then in that case it will be rejected. So that limit you can again edit and view everything you can do in this profile itself. And next one, reserved receiver FI response time. This means, let's say you have here you are playing a role of receiver FI, meaning you will be getting an PAX 8 or PAX 4 messages and you are prompted to respond back whether it's a success or a failure, or you would want a more time, which is ACWP. So whatever it is, you will have to communicate back to the Fed now within 5 seconds of maximum time. Yes, the Fed now has set a maximum limit for a response, that every receiver FI should respond within 5 seconds for any value message. It can be uh, PAX 8 or PAX 4. You will have the receiver FI has to respond back within 5 seconds maximum. But the only option you have is that you can reduce that number to 1 second, 2 second, or 3 second, whatever it is. But you definitely cannot exceed more than 5 seconds. So it is ultimatum that you should send a response back to FedNow within maximum of 5 seconds. If it takes more than that, it will be rejected by the FedNow service. So that time also you can view and edit. So initially they'll do the FedNow service will do that setup, and after that you can edit it using the FedNow interface. And the receive account credit debit notifications. So whenever there is a settlement happens, and in the settlement account will be credited and debited, right? So that notification will be sent to you, and you can opt whether you wanted to receive it or not. So you can edit in the profile that whether you want it or not. And next one is the participant negative list. The participant negative list is basically you identify that some of the messages originated from some certain account numbers are fraudulent, and they're always during some suspicious transaction. In that case, what you can do is that you can contact the Federal Reserve Support Center and enroll that particular account number in the negative list. So whenever a payment is initiated from this account number, so it will be rejected automatically. So that is also you can do view edit, and you can view it or edit it. For sometimes you may think, okay, this is in case it is a valid account number in the sense, then you can go back and remove it. But whenever you want to add it, you need to control the FedNow Federal Reserve Support Center, and you have to add it. And the daily reports. The daily report setting refers to an automatic distribution of an account activity total report and account activity details report. So these two are the reports ultimately provided by the FedNow to for the reconciliation purposes. So this will be provided at the end of the day after the cycle date rollover. So you can adjust these reports whether you wanted to receive this for particular RTN, or you don't want to receive these reports for this particular RTN. All those things you can configure it in from the FedNow interface. Okay, so all these configurable components are available for the credit customer credit transfer send and receive participant type. So if your bank opts for this participant type, then your bank will have an option to control all these options using the participant profile. And you may want to choose that, let's say that customer credit transfer receive only. In that case, only reserved receiver FI response time, and receive account debit credit notification, participant negative limit, negative list, and daily reports. These two are only, these four are applicable because it only makes sense, right? So you would want only to receive the message, so why would you need a limit? Because that limit is applicable only for sending the outward messages, right? So since you are not going to send any outward messages, it is not at all not at all applicable to you. Likewise the pain 13, because whenever, let's say whenever you receive a pain 13, you would want to send a pain, when you would want to send a pax 8, so you would, that is not applicable, right? You chose only for receive only, so that is also not applicable to you. So you cannot modify, or you cannot have the options that your profile is not meeting for. The next one is liquidity management transfer, send and receive. In this case, you are choosing to opt for a liquidity management, that you would be funding the settlement account, and also you would be receiving the funds from someone to fund your settlement account. All these things will have this configuration, like maximum transaction value limit LMT, and receive account credit debit notification, and daily reports. So all these things you can opt for. And when you chose liquidity management transfer, receive only or settlement only, meaning you're chose to be a correspondent, and you chose only to be a correspondent, and you are providing only the settlement only service. In that case, you will eligible to have daily reports, because even though you are a correspondent, if you want, you would want, if you want to track your settlement account what happens, in that case probably you can choose for a debit credit notification, and also daily reports about what happening in your credit, in your accounts. So this is the basic summary of your participant profile, and what are the options that you will have for each part as a participant, that whatever the, based on the participant type you chose.
This brings us to the end of the video. I hope these concepts are helpful and clear to you. We will continue to learn more about the payment systems in the upcoming videos together. Once again, thank you for watching my video, and I wish something good comes to your life today. Bye for now.